to the H to the L-E-E-E, Just Chloe. Hey everyone, welcome back to Just Chloe. It's me, Chloe, and today we're going to be doing a reading marathon. Another read aloud video. So I just made a video of reading this book. And by the time I post this video will be posted or not, I don't know. But if this video is posted by the time I post this video, then check out the video because it's really cool. So today I have 4 books. They are classic fairy tale books. So first I have Cinderella, and I have Thumbelina, and I have Rainbow Flower, and I have Little Red Riding Hood. And I really like these books because they're from Teeny Baby. And the characters look like they're made out of clay and like Play-Doh, literally. The drawing is so amazing. Like, look at this. Look, they look like Play-Doh and clay. Looks so cool, but we're going to read all these 4 books in this video. So, let's get started. Stop talking. First, let's start off with Thumbelina. Like and subscribe. Once there was a tiny little girl who was born out of a beautiful flower. She was as long as a thumb, and so everyone called her Thumbelina. She's so cute. Hi, guys. One night, as Thumbelina lay fast asleep, an ugly old toad saw her and thought how pretty she looked. He carried Thumbelina away to his son. This lovely little girl will make a good wife for you, he said. What? Why? A girl cannot marry a frog. Thumbelina woke up in the morning in the ugly toad's home. She was very frightened and started to cry. I don't want to marry an ugly toad. Some fish swam by and heard Thumbelina crying. They said, how can such a pretty girl marry an ugly toad? So they decided to help her. Good fishes. Or is it just fish? I don't know. The fish gnawed away at the stem of the lily pad on which Thumbelina was sitting. Then they pushed the leaf far out of reach of the ugly toads. One day, a passing beetle saw pretty little Thumbelina sitting on the lily pad. He flew down and carried her away with him. Oh no! She got taken away by this ugly beetle. Why is his face green? Is it meant to be like that? The beetle carried Thumbelina to the forest, seated her on a tree stump, and then flew away to find some food. Thumbelina seized the opportunity to escape. The brave little girl ate honey for food and drank dew to quench her thirst. When she was tired, she lay down on the ground with a leaf as a blanket. One night, Thumbelina was very hungry. She crept into the home of a field mouse, hoping to find something to eat. I hope the field mouse will be kind enough to give her food. The kind-hearted field mouse was not only gave Thumbelina lots of yummy food, but also invited her to stay. Every day, Thumbelina sang beautiful songs and danced for the field mouse. They were very happy together. Look how real the food looks. Oh my gosh. That looks like rice, and this is like a vegetable. Looks so cool. The drawings are awesome. One day, a guest came to visit the field mouse and Thumbelina. He was an old mole who wore a hat and carried a cane. Thumbelina warmly welcomed the mole and cooked delicious food for him. Mr. Mole fell in love with her, but he didn't say anything. Look how real the corn looks. Oh my god, that's so cute. The field mouse guessed Mr. Mole's feelings, so she asked him to take Thumbelina to his house. At the door of Mr. Mole's home, Thumbelina saw a swallow who was frozen stiff. Looks like a penguin. Taking pity on the poor swallow, Thumbelina held him in her arms, trying to warm him up. At last, the little bird came to life. The swallow thanked Thumbelina for her kindness when he found out that she didn't want to marry Mr. Mole. He carried her on his back and they escaped. So they just escaped without Mr. Mole knowing? Maybe you could just tell Mr. Mole your feelings and maybe he'll understand and you don't have to just run away and he'll be like searching for you. Flapping his wings, the swallow flew south to where it was lovely and warm. The swallow and Thumbelina arrived in the south where beautiful flowers bloomed everywhere. The prince of the flowers welcomed them warmly. To Thumbelina's surprise, the prince was as tiny as she was, and she fell in love with him at first sight. Together they waved goodbye to the kind swallow. To Thumbelina's joy, the prince loved her too. He put a crown on her head and made her the queen of flowers. Wow, king and queen of flowers. Just then, a group of flower fairies flew out of the flowers. They danced happily around the prince and their new queen. The end. That was a really good story. I mean, we found out a lot of things. We found out her circle of time from a ugly toad to the beetle to Mr. Mole to the prince, her true love. Okay, next book is called Rainbow Flower. Here we go. One day, a little girl named Jenny brought a string of bread rings in a baker's shop. Hey, she kind of looks like Thumbelina a little bit. Suddenly, a dog appeared and stole the string of bread rings from her and quickly ran off. "Oh, you naughty dog!" Jenny cried, and ran after it. She ran and ran, but couldn't catch it. Soon Jenny was lost and had no idea where she was. She walked around for a while and found herself standing in front of a small house with a lovely little garden. An old woman appeared at the garden gate. The old woman gave Jenny a magical rainbow flower and said, "Each of these 7 petals on this flower can grant you a wish." Cool. Jenny tore off a yellow petal, saying, "Dear little petal, please take me back home again with the bread rings." No sooner were the words out of her mouth than she was back in her own house, holding a string of bread rings. Jenny was astonished and thought to herself, "This is a really pretty flower. I'll put it in my prettiest vase we have." While putting the flower in the vase, Jenny accidentally knocked it over and fell onto the floor, breaking into tiny pieces. Don't step on it. It can cut you. Jenny tore off a red petal. "Dear little petal, please mend the vase." No sooner were the words out of her mouth than the vase put itself back together. Jenny went outside and saw some boys playing. They were pretending to be Arctic explorers. Her house is very pretty. Jenny tore off a pink petal, saying, "Dear little petal, please take me to the North Pole right this minute." No sooner were the words out of her mouth than she found herself all alone at the North Pole in her little summer dress. It was freezing cold. Why did you go to North Pole? You're not ready for it. Just then, a polar bear appeared and started coming towards her. She was very frightened. She tore off a green petal and escaped from the North Pole. Now, Jenny was back where the boys were playing. She told them she had just been at the North Pole, but all they did was laugh at her in disbelief. Jenny went to play with the girls, but none of them were willing to share their toys with her. Jenny was very upset. She tore off an orange petal, saying, "Dear little petal, please bring me all the toys in the world." That's a lot of toys. Millions of toys appeared. Jenny quickly tore off a violet petal, saying, "Dear little petal, please send all the toys back to where they came from." In the end, Jenny only had the blue petal left, and she didn't know what else she could wish for. Just then, Jenny saw a little boy sitting on a bench by the wall. She asked him if he wanted to play hide and seek with her. The boy said sadly, "I love to, but I'm disabled and I cannot run." Aww. Hearing this, Jenny immediately tore off the last petal, saying, "Dear little petal, please, please make this little boy able to run." No sooner were the words out of her mouth than the boy threw away his crutch and sprang up from the bench. Jenny jumped for joy. The pair of them played hide and seek. The boy ran so fast that Jenny could not catch him, so no matter how hard she tried. The end. Great story! I love how in the end Jenny helped a little boy and he could run again. Alright, next book, Little Red Riding Hood. Here we go. Once there was a little girl who always wore a red hat. It was a present from her grandma and she loved it. Everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her grandma fell ill. Her mom asked her to go and visit her grandma and take her some ham, bread, and wine. Before Little Red Riding Hood set off, her mom said, "Be good, keep to the path, and don't talk to strangers." Little Red Riding Hood ran off on her way. Little Red Riding Hood is classic. These are all just classic fairy tale stories. In the forest, she met an old wolf who asked, "Hello, little girl. What's your name?" "My name is Little Red Riding Hood," she replied timidly. "Please don't be scared," said the old wolf. "I'm a very kind-hearted wolf and I'm willing to help anyone in need." He looks evil. He looks creepy. He looks scary. Then the wolf asked where Little Red Riding Hood was going. "I'm taking this basket of food to my grandma, who lives in a cottage in the forest," she replied. Then the old wolf asked what kind of food she was taking to her grandma. Little Red Riding Hood said ham, bread, and wine. Wait, why is she talking to strangers? She's not allowed to do that. Remember her mom said? The old wolf said, "Why don't I help you? I can go on ahead with a basket of goodies while you pick some lovely forest flowers for your grandma." Little Red Riding Hood agreed, so the wolf took the basket and went ahead. Little Red Riding Hood forgot about her mom's warning and started picking forest flowers. Why is she doing that? The old wolf went straight to Grandma's house. He thought, "Ha ha, soon I'll be able to eat a little girl and an old woman. Yum yum, how clever am I." When he came to Grandma's door, the wolf copied Little Red Riding Hood's voice. "Grandma, it's me, Little Red Riding Hood. I've got some lovely things for you." Grandma was in bed, too ill to answer the door. She said, "Sorry, I can't get up to open the door for you. It's not locked. Turn the doorknob and come in." The old wolf immediately pushed the door open and leapt upon Grandma, who started screaming in fright. The old wolf ate Grandma whole. Then he put on her scarf and lay down on the bed. After picking lots of flowers, Little Red Riding Hood finally arrived at Grandma's cottage. To her surprise, Grandma looked very strange today. Doesn't she recognize her? That is not her grandma, the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood said, "Grandma, what big hands you have." The wolf in disguise replied, "I've been working hard. That's why I have big hands, my dear." Then Little Red Riding Hood said, "Grandma, what big teeth you have." The old wolf jumped out of bed and roared fiercely, "All the better to eat you with, my dear." The old wolf jumped on Little Red Riding Hood and swallowed her whole. Then he lay back on the bed and fell fast asleep. A hunter walking past the cottage heard someone snoring inside. He thought it was rather strange. He pushed the door open and went in. There he saw the big bad wolf, who was lying sound asleep in the old granny's bed. The hunter thought, this big bad wolf must have eaten that old granny who lives here. So he took out his hunting knife and cut open the wolf's tummy. To the hunter's great surprise, there wasn't just one person in the wolf's tummy. There were two, the old granny and Little Red Riding Hood. How did they survive? Little Red Riding Hood and her grandma were saved. Little Red Riding Hood realized her mistake. "Now I will always follow Mom's advice," she said. The end. Great little book, but I don't know how they survived when they were already eaten. Ooh. Okay, last story, Cinderella. Here we go. Let's read. Once there was a beautiful, kind girl. Her stepmother made her do all the work, so her clothes were covered with dust and ashes. People called her Cinderella. Cinderella, Cinderella, Cinderella. One day, her father came home with many presents. Instead of accepting anything precious, Cinderella only asked for a twig from a hazel tree. Cinderella believed that hazel trees had spiritual qualities, so she planted the twig in front of her mother's grave. Aw, her mother passed away. Soon, the twig grew into a big hazel tree. A white bird in it said to Cinderella, "I can help you and grant your wishes. Come and find me whenever you need me." One day, Cinderella's stepmother told her 2 daughters that they were invited to a ball in the palace. "The king will choose a bride for his son," she said. They don't look as pretty as Cinderella. That's a fact. "May I go to the ball?" said Cinderella. "Look at your shabby dress. How can you go?" scoffed her mother. Then she and her daughters left for the ball. Cinderella was very sad. She went to ask the hazel tree and the white bird for help. They granted her wish and gave her beautiful clothes and shoes. Oh my, they're golden. Look at the shoes. After thanking the hazel tree and the white bird, Cinderella quickly put on the beautiful clothes and shoes and ran to the palace. When Cinderella stopped in the ballroom, her beauty stunned everyone. Indeed, the whole palace was brightened by her presence. The prince asked Cinderella if she'd like to dance with him. Cinderella agreed happily. The prince said to her, "You are my favorite dance partner." The prince danced with Cinderella the whole evening, completely ignoring all the other girls. He really liked Cinderella and thought she was the right girl for him. Everything's golden. Cinderella left before the ball ended. The prince ran after her to see where she lived. Cinderella was in such a hurry that she dropped one of her shoes. The prince quickly picked up the shoe and carried on, running after Cinderella. The prince followed Cinderella to her house, but he couldn't find her. He said to Cinderella's father, "I'll marry the girl whose foot fits into this shoe." The stepmother told her eldest daughter to try on the shoe. The girl tried so hard to squeeze her foot into the small shoe that she winced in pain. It doesn't fit her. It fits Cinderella. Cinderella. Finally, she forced her foot into the shoe. The prince kept his promise and lifted her onto his horse. She said goodbye to her mother and left with the prince. As they passed the hazel tree, the white bird started to sing loudly. "The shoe doesn't fit. The shoe doesn't fit. She's not your queen. Do not commit." Hearing this, the prince realized he had made a mistake and returned to the house. The stepmother called her second daughter to try the shoe. The second daughter tried and finally squeezed her big foot into the small hole, putting up with the pain she got on the prince's horse. When they passed the hazel tree, the white bird started singing again. "The shoe doesn't fit. The shoe doesn't fit. She's not your queen. Do not commit." The prince returned to the house again. Cinderella's father said, "I have another daughter from my previous marriage. Why not ask her to try the shoe?" Yeah, it's gonna fit because Cinderella's shoe, right? Cinderella tried on the shoe. It was a perfect fit, and suddenly the prince recognized her. She was the girl he had danced the whole night at the ball. As Cinderella and the prince rode past the hazel tree, the white bird sang, "The shoe's a good fit. The shoe's a good fit. She is your queen. Be sure of it." Yeah, they're gonna marry. Soon the prince and Cinderella were married. The white bird perched on Cinderella's shoulder, singing a sweet song, and they all lived happily ever after. Why does he look angry? Okay, whatever. The end. Alright, you guys, this was a really good reading marathon, kind of. We read all these 4 books. I really hope you guys enjoyed these classic fairy tale stories. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone. Much love. See you next time. Stay healthy and stay talented, my talented friends.